Everyone, I'm Ananya from EUMind and I'm here with the Joint Secretary of our RWA Resident Welfare Association, Mr. Srikanth. Hello, Mr. Srikanth.
Hello.
I would like to begin by asking some questions about waste management. Shall we proceed?
Sure.
Why is waste management truly important?
Without waste management, I think we're going to increase all the garbage piles, and slowly this earth is no longer going to be a livable planet.
Okay. What are the different waste management techniques we can implement?
The three most important waste management techniques are reduce, reuse, and recycle.
What are your concerns regarding the current waste management system?
The current waste management system is not properly being implemented by the government. There is no awareness of the people, so the people don't cooperate, and then the government cannot force, so it is being mismanaged.
How much does commercial waste management removal cost?
Any commercial waste management system does not cost you anything. In fact, commercial waste management will give you or earn you money if done in proper ways.
What is the standard waste removal schedule?
The standard waste removing schedule and in the cities is like every day waste being picked up, which is wet waste, and then maybe a couple of days a week for dry waste.
Okay. How to reduce the impact of waste produced on the environment?
How to?
How to reduce the impact of waste produced on the environment?
How do we reduce the impact? By properly recycling the waste, handling up the waste with the proper waste management procedures.
Okay. How should the waste management system be improved?
As I said before, basically it needs awareness, and then the government needs to consult with experts, and then the experts needs to be given authority to function independently.
How can we spread awareness regarding proper waste management?
We can educate people starting with schools, and then with public announcements, and maybe commercially advertising everywhere, including cinema halls, social media, etc.
Okay. Why is separation of dry and wet waste important?
All materials which are actually produced start with some product in nature getting combined into the final product. So the recycling is nothing but we dismantle and carve out those products which we started with. So waste management maybe is the process of basically disintegrating the product into its original forms.
Okay. How, according to you, can the government help in building a proper waste management system?
Yeah, so basically government needs to listen to the experts. They need to form an expert committee who can do proper waste management, and also give full authority and freedom to the waste management guys who are like the expert in the area. So government cannot handle it by itself.
Any special waste management protocols our RWA has done?
RWA has done many initiatives including education to all the residents here, and we have come up with a weekly schedule for waste management pickup. So currently in HSR layout, we actually ask the waste management to pick up wet waste every day, and twice or thrice in a week there is a dry waste pickup.
Is there any waste management protocols for public areas?
Public, whether it is public or personal areas or private areas, the waste management techniques are the same. You just need to segregate. So every wet waste needs to go into the waste bin which is wet, mentioned for wet, and then the dry waste needs to be separated out, and then it needs to be processed as dry waste.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello everybody, my name is Gaurav, and today here with us we have Mr. Ashish, who has agreed to answer some of my queries regarding waste management. I hope his experiences will contribute greatly. Why is waste management truly important?
Waste management is truly important because if we continue the rate of waste generation that humanity is currently indulging in, we will frankly shortly run out of landfills. In other words, there will just not be enough space for us to dispose of our waste. In addition, waste management is also something that makes economic sense. Hence, any way you look at it, waste management makes sense and we should actively encourage and indulge in it.
What are different waste management techniques that we can implement?
Well, waste management techniques frankly depend upon the kind of waste that we are talking about. For example, if it's a wet waste, then obviously that can be degraded and decomposed to form organic material, fertilizers, and so on. On the other hand, if it is a dry waste, then the most recommended category or technique would be recycling.
What are your concerns regarding the current waste management system?
The current waste management system, I think, is fundamentally flawed because, as I did mention, the waste management techniques depend upon the kind of waste that's being collected. However, in India, um, apart from few municipalities, I believe that there is still no waste segregation mechanism in place, and hence wet waste and dry waste are collected together. That fundamentally discourages the reuse of waste and recycling.
How much does commercial waste removal cost?
Well, it depends. I need to say it depends because if it is for a small community, then it may be merely few $100s a week. On the other hand, if the waste being generated is something that is on an industrial level, then it can indeed be quite costly, running into perhaps few $1,000s per week also.
What is the standard waste removal schedule?
Schedule again depends upon largely the quantity of waste that we are talking about. For example, in case of communities, generally the practice is to collect waste from individual households every day. On the other hand, if industrial mechanisms have a waste disposal or a waste collection yard, then perhaps waste can be collected once every week from such establishments.
How can we reduce the impact of the waste produced on the environment?
Well, that is largely the entire waste management philosophy, isn't it? For example, waste that is generated has to be either recycled or reduced chemically into an organic manure or a fertilizer. So that's how you are reducing the impact of waste disposal.
How should the waste management system be improvised?
As I did mention again, the most prominent improvisation that I believe needs to be made is a strict segregation of wet and dry waste, because both these types of waste have completely different characteristics and totally different ways in which they can be reused or recycled. For example, as I did mention, wet waste needs to be reduced to fertilizers, while dry waste uh, can be recycled. In fact, I remember few years back, Nike manufactured an entire football field using and disposed of shoes. So that's a great way to recycle and reuse the waste that was disposed.
How can we spread awareness regarding proper waste management?
I believe the awareness needs to be twofold. One is obviously that NGOs, which are non-government organizations, can conduct awareness camps both in industrial establishments as well as in residential complexes to make people aware how much benefit waste management accrues. Secondly, I think there should also be some government initiative in terms of introducing legislatures to impose strict penalties on people who are not strictly observing waste management.
Those are some brilliant points, sir. I thank you for your invaluable time.
About the topic of waste management.
Hello.
Why is waste management truly important?
I think waste management is truly important because it impacts the environment and it is contaminant. If we are not doing the waste management properly, it also contaminates the soil and air and also water, which we consume on a daily basis, the byproducts of it. So our health is at risk if we do not do the waste management properly.
Okay, moving on to the next question. What are the different waste management techniques we can implement?
Okay, so there are different kinds of wastages, right? So we have wet waste, we have dry waste. So for wet waste, I think if we are separating the wet waste in terms of like items that are eatable by animals, like peels and all those, then we can do that. And the rotten items, we can make the compost. And if it is a dry waste, then we have a great mantra: reduce, recycle, reuse. Let's implement that.
What are your concerns regarding the current waste management system?
So whatever I mentioned as the negative impacts of the poor waste management, it is pretty evident in Bangalore. We see landfills, we see clogged drains, and we see pollution due to the improper waste management, the very bad smell. So I think that is the downside of waste management, and that can definitely be improved.
Okay, how much does commercial waste removal cost?
See, we live in an apartment of 100 flats, so it is 8,000 per month for us for the entire apartment. So it is 80 rupees per flat.
What is the standard waste removal schedule?
8 a.m. every day.
How do you reduce the impact of waste produced on the environment?
To reduce the waste produced in the environment, I think we have to use the reduce, recycle, reuse, because the plastic is one of the biggest threat to our earth. So I think this is the best way to move ahead.
How should the waste management system be improved?
Improvement, or whenever we say change or improvement, it always starts with us having a proper discipline and having the awareness of our indisciplined actions on the waste management. So I think that is what is going to have to be improved in order to have an efficient waste management system. So if we see developed countries, people are very aware, and they would pick up the litter that they have thrown out, and they would put it in their garbage bins. Even their pet litters, they are very careful about not putting it in the common areas like roads and all that, right? So, and if they slip, then they get fined. I think that kind of system has to be implemented in our country as well.
Moving on to the last question. Why is separation of dry and wet waste important?
As I said, every type of waste has its own waste management technique, right? So if we don't separate the dry and wet waste, how do we implement our waste management technique? So we cannot do the compost with the dry waste. At the same time, we cannot reduce, recycle, reuse the wet waste. So that's the reason.
Okay, thank you for your time.
Thank you.